Today I want to give you my moveset recommendations for all of the Pokémon in Pokémon Unite. So let's begin. So first we have Venusaur. I already made a pro guide about this Pokémon, but there are two ways to go with this. If you want to go that melee DPS style, you want to go Giga Drain and Petal Dance. But for that long range sniper style build, definitely go with Sludge Bomb and Solar Beam. Those are the best options. Don't mix these two up. Next we have Charizard. I'm not a huge fan of the flamethrower, so I always tend to go Fire Punch, but with the second ability, some people like Fire Blast more and some people like Flare Blitz more. Flare Blitz gives you that crowd control, and Fire Blast has that poking ability. I guess you could say Fire Blast is the more safe option, because you can use it from a distance, and with Flare Blitz you have to commit in. I would say depending on your playstyle, choose one of these two, but both are great options. With Blastoise, I always like to go Hydro Pump and Surf because of the crowd control given and the mobility that Surf gives. There is that alternative build with Rapid Spin and Water Spout, which is still okay, but after the nerfs, I don't think it's as potent as it used to be. And I'm just seeing more and more of the Hydro Pump and Surf gameplay with Blastoise, so that's my recommendation. Next we have Pikachu. I like both Electro Ball and Thunder now that Thunder got a little buffed. It's an okay ability as well. Electro Ball is more solid choice in a way, because it's a sure hit ability. With Volt Tackle versus Thunderbolt, I'm not a huge fan of Volt Tackle. I think it's kinda iffy. So my recommendation will be going always with Thunderbolt and then choose between Electro Ball and Thunder, whichever caters to your playstyle. But if you're new to this game and this Pokemon, go with Electro Ball and Thunderbolt. With Alolan Ninetales, I always go Dazzling Gleam and Aurora Veil. These two abilities go really well together. You can have that AoE stun, and in top of those boosted auto attacks you get from Aurora Veil, it's a very nice solid combination. Blizzard and Avalanche, they're okay, but I just don't see in those two abilities as big value as with Dazzling Gleam and Aurora Veil. So those are my choices for this one. Wigglytuff. Okay, so this has always been a debate whether you should go Rollout or Sing. Sing is the more safe option, and that's what majority of the players take. I'm a huge fan of Rollout, so that will be my choice, but for most circumstances, Sing is just better from these two. I also made a 10-minute Rollout guide if you guys are interested. I'll leave a card at the top right section of this video. You can have a look at it after this one. For Double Slap and Dazzling Gleam, these two are pretty good. I always tend to go Double Slap for some reason. I think it's just more fun, but these both are good options as well. With Machamp, I always tend to go Submission and Cross Chop. Those two abilities give you that nice initiation potential, and you can catch up squishies or vulnerable targets because you get that nice mobility from these two abilities, and the crowd control from Submission is really good. I'm not a huge fan of Dynamic Punch, it's kinda okay. Same goes with Close Combat, it has that nice base damage, but Cross Chop, due to its mobility, I would rather go that. So Cross Chop and Submission, my choices. With Slowbro, I always go Surf and Telekinesis. These two abilities provide a nice crowd control to this character. And you're a tank, you want to provide that assistance to your team, and these two abilities will provide that. I've seen some people go Amnesia and Scald, which is more of that DPS sort of build, but really, you're playing a tank here, and rather having that huge crowd control instead of that DPS is just more optimal in my opinion. With Snorlax, I like to go Heavy Slam, as well as Block. Those two really provide that, again, that nice crowd control. Yawn is pretty good as well, I like that AoE sleep thing. It's not a bad ability, and I guess for newcomers, Yawn could be better because Block requires that little experience going on to get a really that max utilization out of it. So these two are good abilities. With Flail, it's more on that DPS style Snorlax build. It's a fun ability to use, but as for a tank Pokemon, I would rather just go Heavy Slam. It's more solid. Mamoswine. I really do like Ice Fang, as well as Earthquake. The issue with high horsepower is that while it's a nice mobility crowd control thing, the build-up is very slow and it's hard to get that max potential out of it. So that's why I rather tend to go Earthquake. And Icicle Crash, it's a good ability, I do like it as well, but the flexibility and the crowd control Ice Fang provides is just better overall. So Ice Fang and Earthquake for this one. Gardevoir. I do like Psyshock combined with the Moonblast. Since Moonblast gives you that stun, you can really pair it well either with Psyshock or Future Sight. I don't think Future Sight is bad either. I'm just a more personal fan of Psyshock. These two abilities are both great. You want to think about, do you want to have those 3 mini bursts or that one big boom? So both good options. As for these two, I'm not really a huge fan of Psychic, to be honest, because of the fact that Moonblast gives you that crowd control, so there's that. Lucario, okay. Both Extreme Speed and Power Up Punch are good, but I've been really starting to like Extreme Speed more because of that reset factor. When you dash to unique Pokemon, you can get those resets immediately, and that mobility given Lucario gets is just so good. But Power Up Punch also really good. It's better on like stealing objectives like Dreadnought and Zapdos. Same with Bone Rush and Close Combat. These both abilities are really good. Bone Rush gives you that nice mobility, and it can also reset your extreme speed, which is really important to know. Close Combat is more of that DPS style, if you want to just go pure damage. But my recommendation will be Extreme Speed and Bone Rush for Lucario. With Crustle, I like to go Cell Smash and X Scissor. Really solid combination. Stealth Rock, I see a lot of usage as well, and it's not a terrible ability. It gives that AoE damage to a certain area. So these two abilities comes down to a personal preference. Which one would you like? But the crowd control given from X Scissor is also really nice, so you could try both and see which one you prefer. When it comes to Rock Tomb, I like it on paper. It puts up that wall. You could zone out people with this, but if you place this ability wrong, you can also grief your allies, which can be a bad thing. But Shell Smash, given that sustain factor and that extra movement speed, is just more solid option in my opinion, paired with the X Scissor or Stealth Rock. Greninja, I always go with Smokescreen for the first ability, but Double Team is really good if you can use it in a nice way. But Smokescreen, there's just so much potential with this ability, because you go to the stealth and you can trick players if you try to initiate with this ability or escape. I just like Smokescreen better. These two abilities are also great. Water Shuriken gives that burst damage if you can line these shurikens in a nice way, but I do like to Surf more because of that reset factor. Even from the wild Pokemon, you can reset this ability immediately, and it has that multi-kill potential with it. So my recommendation will be Smokescreen and Surf, but the other two abilities are great as well. For Talonflame, I like to go Flame Charge instead of Aerial Ace. Both abilities are good, but I like the freedom given from Flame Charge, that you can actually dash to anywhere, even through some of the walls. As with these two abilities, I just think Fly is more consistent, and the base damage of Fly is insane. So I rather go Fly instead of Brave Bird. The thing with Brave Bird is that the build time is kinda on the slower side, but it has a good range. So you could try Brave Bird as well. But for my recommendation, Flame Charge and Fly is the way I play this Pokemon. With Sylveon, I do prefer Hyper Voice over Mystical Fire because of the overall DPS the Hyper Voice provides. Mystical Fire has that little jump in it, that mobility, which is great, but Hyper Voice is just more consistent overall. These two abilities, I feel like that's up to your personal preference. I like to go Draining Kiss usually, because it pairs well with the Hyper Voice, but Calm Mind has its usages as well, especially when you hit that level 12, you get that Calm Mind Plus, and that immunity, meaning that you can deny one of the enemy spells when using this, is really strong. But due to the fact Draining Kiss is getting that potential earlier on, compared to Calm Mind, that's why I take Hyper Voice and Draining Kiss for Sylveon, but Calm Mind is also really good. For Zeraora, my recommendation will be Volt Switch and Discharge. These two abilities go really well together. Discharge has that nice AoE damage when you're fighting in a close quarters, and you can do so many cool tricks with Volt Switch as well, which I do enjoy, when you can return to that spot if you press that ability again. I also made a video where there's this nice grab tactic that utilizes Volt Switch and Discharge. I don't know if Timmy is gonna fix that in the future, but as for the time of making this video, it's still available. You can pull enemies if you do those specific commands in a nice way. I'll leave the video on the card's top right. Spark is not a bad ability, but I just like how the playstyle with Volt Switch works better. And Wild Charge, I do like it as well, but Discharge to me, it feels more consistent overall. So that's why I take Volt Switch and Discharge for Zeraora. With Cinderace, it's a no-brainer at this point. Pyro Ball and Flame Charge are the best two right now. I like Blaze Kick because it has that gap closing potential, and it's always gonna guarantee crit, which is nice. But since they gave buffs to Pyro Ball and the Flame Charge, those two are my recommendations. I do really enjoy Feint as well, because when you time this ability correctly, you can dodge so many huge abilities. But as you look at the cooldowns, you can get like 2.5 flame charges versus 1 Feint. So that's why I'm going Pyro Ball and Flame Charge for Cinderace. Greedent is a kind of a no-brainer. After I played couple games with him, I always go Covet and Belch. Covet is kind of difficult to use because it has that drifting mechanic going on. It feels like you're skating on ice in a way, but once you get the hang of Covet and Belch, it's a really solid combination. Also the base damage from Belch is just insane. Stuffed Cheeks is a fat okay. I do like it on paper when you can heal allies when you throw a lot of those berries, but Covet is just so much more versatile overall. And Bullet Seed, the base damage is kinda iffy compared to Belch. So Covet and Belch, my recommendation for Greedent. With Cramorant, it's another no-brainer, Hurricane and Surf every single time. Since Cramorant is sort of a utility mage, or that is how I feel about this Pokemon, you want to provide that crowd control, and then your teammates can assist to get those kills for your team. So Hurricane and Surf every single time. Air Slash is sort of like a shotgun ability. It does more damage on a close range, but it's a fat okay. Same with Dive, I do like its potential, it has that mobility going on, but no. Hurricane and Surf are just the way to go with this Pokemon. Maybe this will change in the future. With Gengar, I like to go Sludge Bomb and Hex, because it enables you to spam the Hex ability more often. Shadow Ball is also okay, so you could try that as well. And Dream Eater, it does have that sleep crowd control in it, which is nice. But since Gengar is sort of like an assassin type of Pokemon, and you want to deal as much damage as possible in a short amount of time as possible, that's why my choice is Sludge Bomb and Hex for this Pokemon. With Blissey, I like to go Safeguard and Helping Hand. Or that's what I've seen people go, because I haven't even played this Pokemon yet, unfortunately. But those two abilities provide that nice support capabilities Blissey excels with. Soft-boiled isn't bad either, so I guess it comes down to personal preference, which one would you like more. But I've seen so many good things with Safeguard, so I would root to that. Egg Bomb, this is something that I'm not a huge fan of, because Blissey is a support. Why would you take a damaging ability for this Pokemon? Just get Helping Hand instead. With Mr. Mime, absolutely Confusion, and then you could choose between Barrier and Guard Swap. I've seen most people go with Confusion and Barrier because they do match well together. You put that wall and then you throw that Confusion, and since Confusion has that pushback in it, and if you're able to get this enemy to a wall from the map or this ability Barrier, it will do a lot of extra damage. So those two go really well together. Guard Swap is okay too, but I just see more potential with Barrier. And honestly, I've never seen anyone take Psychic for Mr. Mime, so I won't count on that. Confusion and Barrier for Mr. Mime. For Absol, I think most people go with Pursuit and Sucker Punch. Again, I'm not the biggest Absol main in the planet, but with Night Slash, I don't see this one taken often. So Pursuit will be the recommendation for the first ability, and with the second ability, some guys go with Psycho Cut and some people go with Sucker Punch. But the combination of Pursuit and Sucker Punch is what I see the most in these games, so that's gonna be my recommendation as well. For Garchomp, I tend to take the Dragon abilities, Dragon Rush and Dragon Claw. I think those two go well together, but Dig and Earthquake are also really good abilities. So I would say play a couple games with this Pokemon and see which abilities you like the most and what abilities do fit your playstyle the best. But my recommendation will be Dragon Rush and Dragon Claw for this Pokemon. And last we have Eldegoss. Both of these abilities are really good. The Pollen Puff and Leaf Tornado. You just need to make that decision whether you want heal or that movement speed for one of your basic abilities. I would take a look at the matchup and the team you're in and prioritize that way and think about that, hey, do we need that extra sustain? Or do we want to be super aggressive where the movement speed increase would really be more beneficial? But both of these abilities really strong. As for the second ability, I see most of the time people take Cotton Guard, which do heal some HP as well, so it's more that sustain kind of thing going on with this ability. I never see people take Cotton Spore, so I can't really recommend that. So either Pollen Puff or Leaf Tornado, depending on the matchup, and then take Cotton Guard for the second ability for Eldegoss. Okay, so those are my ability recommendations for all of the Pokemon in the game. If you found this video helpful, a thumbs up would be appreciated, and thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.